Okay, so today we'll talk about the joints. First, we will see what a joint is. Then we will see the classification of joints. You know that in your body you have 206 bones, and the bones join together to form that whole thing, which is the skeleton. Okay? So bones join to form the skeleton. This is the skeleton. Then we'll talk about the most common type joint of your body, which is the synovial joint. We'll see the structure and functions of the synovial joint. Structure and properties of the synovial joint. Then we'll talk about different types of movements at the joints. And then we'll talk about a couple of large synovial joints in your body. So first, what is a joint? Joint is the location where two or more bones unite or meet, very simple, or articulate, same thing. So, where two or more bones unite or meet or articulate, that is a joint. That's why joints are also called articulations. Joints are the locations where we move our body parts. Without joints, you cannot move the body parts. So, joints are the locations where we move our body parts. And by the joints, the bones are held together. That I have already mentioned in the skeleton. Classification of joints. We divide the joints in two ways. One is called functional classification and another is called structural classification. Okay, so two ways we classify the joints. Functional joints and structural. Okay. Functional classification is based on the amount of movement that occurs in that joint. How much movement occurs? That is the function, right? Movement is the function, you know that. So, how much movement is present in that joint is the way how we classify the functional classification. So, synchondrosis, synarthrosis, that's wrong. Synarthrosis, aphiarthrosis, okay, and diarthrosis. Sometimes you will see SIS, that indicates only one joint. If we say SES, that means plural. Okay. Now, synarthrosis are the joints that have no movement, immovable. No movement in synarthrosis type joints. Example, you see here, sutures. you know that sutures articulate the cranial bones, right? But no movement occurs at the sutures, right? Make sense? No movement at the sutures. So sutures are good examples. Amphiarthrosis, slight movement. Occurs. Okay? Small amount of movement occurs in amphiarthrosis. Example, when you breathe, you know that your ribs slightly move like this, right? Not a lot, but slight movement of the ribs. Make sense? So, small amount of movement of the ribs. Diarthrosis, plenty of movement. A lot of movement is present in diarthrosis type joints. So, example, shoulder joint, right? Elbow joint, lot of movement. So, those are diarthrosis. So, that is functional classification. Remember SAD, SAD. Synarthrosis, amphiarthrosis, diarthrosis. Then, structural classification. By looking at the structures present in the joint, we classify the joints. Okay? So, structural includes fibrous, cartilaginous, and synovial. 3 types. So, fibrous, cartilaginous, and synovial. Okay, those are 3 types. Fibrous, cartilaginous, and synovial. We'll see the structure of those 3 types of joints. Fibrous is divided into 3 types: sutural, syndesmosis, and gymphosis. Okay? Syndesmosis and gymphosis. So those are 3 types of fibers. So fibers is also divided into 3 types: sutural or suture, syndesmosis, and gymphosis type. Okay? Cartilaginous is also divided into 2 types. Cartilaginous joints are 2 types. What are those? Symphysis and synchondrosis. Synchondrosis and symphysis. So if you remember this classification, things will become easy. Symphysis. So you see, this is the classification of the joints. Okay? So everybody try to keep this classification in your head, then things will get easier. Okay? So first, joints are divided into 2 ways: functional and structural. Functional is SAD, synarthrosis, amphiarthrosis, diarthrosis. No movement, right? Small amount of movement and plenty of movement. Structural, fibrous, cartilaginous, and synovial. Then fibrous is divided into how many types? 3. Sutures, sutures, syndesmosis, and gymphosis. 3 types of fibers. Why this type of joint is called fibrous? Because the bones are attached by the ligaments, and those ligaments are filled with fibers. So that's why. Cartilaginous. Bones are attached by cartilage. You see here, these are cartilages, right? So bones are here also, you know, that fibrocartilage, pubic symphysis. So bones are attached by cartilage. That's why cartilage is enough.